I'm telling you, she's a bully.
I was fired from my job today because I raised that I was being bullied.
You was scared, you little young dumbass bitch.
Why do you talk like that?
She's just a nasty person.
An argument between co-workers led to one of them being stabbed to death.
Found out that friend was the one who fed him that information.
Shouldn't have to ask another adult to respect me as a human being.
She thought I wasn't good enough. It was way more than that.
They quit a job because of bullies trying to corner me in the bathroom.
Workplace is going to be a battlefield.
When she's been at the same cubicle for 20 years.
Whatever you do not give them the reaction they're expecting.
Wagwan Islanders, welcome back to the channel, guys. Of course, you know it's your favorite island girl, Jody here from the 876. And remember, just take this little smile off on my face because it's about to get a little serious right now. I'm not sure if you heard that there is a recent situation. It's about workplace bullying. So there is a young woman who was working at McDonald's who tragically ended up taking the life of her supervisor. And according to reports and even her own TikTok updates, she has been documenting that the supervisor has been constantly picking on her, cutting her hours short, sending her home early and all of that.
I got sent home early yesterday. I got sent home early today by the same person. I'm telling you, she's a bully. This shit isn't funny. She needs to understand that just because she's a mother and got children doesn't mean that she can come in this store, you know, disrespecting people, talking to them like everybody's beneath her. She has no respect. And it isn't funny at all. Like, seriously, man, I got shit I gotta take care of. And she keeps sending me home early. It's not funny. She's playing games. And then all day, throughout the day, she keeps sending her little racial shit. And then throughout the day, she keeps on, like, putting negative energy in the air, talking about people, gossiping about people. It's not funny, man. They're gonna have to stop. She's a bully. I'm telling you. She's a bully. She brings a lot of negative energy in there. She always panic when there's a lot going on, and then she try to manipulate that and make it seem like we ain't doing something right, but we are working really hard and doing great. It's just the fact that she panicked, and I caught her a few times making a mistake, and she tried to hurry up and play it off. You know, nobody's perfect, yeah, but she needs to stop playing like she don't be making mistakes. I be catching her. So all that animosity in it that she keep putting in the air and stuff, and then trying to tell me I'm always snapping on people. No, that's false. No, I don't snap on people. I don't go in there doing that. I tell her, no, I make peace. That's what I'm doing. I've been creating peace. So all that negative energy that she's bringing in there and trying to manipulate it, no, that's going to stop. All that negative shit saying about, you know, her personal life, all of that. No, she's bringing all of that in there and then playing games saying she want to take her belt off and beat somebody. Y'all act like my kids in here. No, we ain't your kids. Respect us. Stop talking to us like that. Crazy. I'm telling you. But to get sent home 2 days in a row, man, and I came in on my off day to make up my time, and she still sends me home early, it's not funny. Somebody will have to do something about that. It's not funny. It's not fair. It isn't funny at all. So, you know, she could keep being a bully if she wants to, but that's want to catch up to her. Because it ain't funny at all.
Local McDonald's, where police say an argument between co-workers led to one of them being stabbed to death.
Fox News' Camille Mary, she just got an update from East Point Police a short time ago. Camille joins us live now. Camille.
A dispute between two employees. One employee leaves, a verbal altercation. One employee leaves, comes back, and then proceeds, this is according to police, proceeds to stab that employee, that fellow employee that they had a dispute with in the area of the drive-through inside where the employees work. And we're going to hear from them in a minute, but I do want to report that we have confirmed from police that the victim is deceased, a woman in her 30s, and the suspect is in custody, a 26-year-old woman. But let's listen to what that one witness had to say.
She left for 5 minutes. She came back with a mask on her face, and the only thing I seen was her hands. That's how I knew it was her. And she started stabbing her, and I ran for help, and basically asking everybody like help or whatever. I tried to stop her. It was no stopping her. She stabbed her everywhere.
My heart really goes out to the supervisor and her family because she was also a mother as well. This story highlights the very real dangers of workplace bullying. It does not excuse, what happened, but it just shows how far some people will go when they are pushed, when they feel powerless, unheard, or even targeted. I also want to say that this topic was actually sent in to me by one of my subscribers. I did not ask them if they wanted to be named in this video, but if you're watching this, you know yourself, and I really want to highlight it because based on the clips that we're about to watch, clearly you are not alone. Guys, before we jump into this video, just remember the formalities. Just like this video for your girl. It's easy, it's free. If you're seeing my face, hearing my voice for the very first time, my name is Jody, and I'd love to have you join the Islanders family. So go on ahead and hit that subscribe button. Now let's jump into this first footage that we're about to see. It comes from a young creator. I'm not sure of her exact age, but you will hear clear audio of her being bullied by apparently her 35-year-old co-worker who was just hurling pure profanity at her. Just absolutely distasteful. Let's watch, and of course drop your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll be back in interval with my opinion. With that being said, let's get into today's video.
This is me recording just in case someone says something to me, because I keep getting picked on and I don't understand why. Okay.
Dumbass whore.
Okay.
Talking about some motherfucking kids, bitch.
Okay. Okay. Like, I'm not scared.
Who said you was scared, you little young dumbass? Let me stop arguing. You said that's why I don't care. You a young dumbass whore. Bitch, my chick is always 9, baby. 1,000, baby. You want some money? You need some food? You hungry? You tired of eating bologna sandwiches? Huh?
See?
You bologna eating whore?
Coming back, I'm just recording for evidence.
Ooh, Jesus. I just got paid today. My check was $900. How much was yours? 3? Woo! You said I don't care. You a young dumbass whore. I don't argue with kids.
All right.
You neckhead bitch.
I got dreads. Like, what are you talking
Bitch,
about?
there ain't no fucking dreads, hoe.
All right.
There ain't no mother dreads, bitch.
All right. The problem.
Wrong her. She know them in the motherfucking dreads. I need some service, bitch. Some service, please. This neckhead girl don't want to take me out. Then I gotta work with this bitch again? Oh, help me, Lord. A young slow dummy. That's what she is, a damn dummy. Regular cop. Then she parked right beside me. I should have scratched that motherfucker. Bitch want me to lose my mother job. Bitch, please. You ain't even worth my hands.
I was fired from my job today because I raised that I was being bullied. I never thought that I'd be fired, let alone 2 weeks before Christmas. Merry Christmas to me. I guess it's a good thing I'm spending Christmas alone, so I don't have to buy Christmas presents for anyone. So yeah, I was fired from my job today because I raised to HR that I was being bullied by my manager. And I know this ultimately was the reason I was fired, because previous to this conversation with HR, I had never been pulled on my performance or anything. I have had, you know, regular one-to-one calls with my manager. She's never raised any concerns with me in terms of my output or meeting deadlines, so this was all very sudden. So basically, a few weeks ago, I got in touch with HR because I was being really badly bullied by my manager. There was clear favoritism in the team, and it was just starting to feel like a very uncomfortable and hostile situation. After I had this initial conversation, which, you know, I thought would have been confidential, I just was seeking some advice on how to deal with the situation. Things progressively got worse. The bullying by my manager got even worse. I was given really unrealistic deadlines constantly. I was essentially being set up to fail by my manager. I was being gaslit, and the worst part is I have proof of all this. I have receipts, I have screenshots of conversations which just show how poorly I was treated. I genuinely have no idea what I did to make my manager hate me so much. She clearly has a personal issue with me. So anyway, a couple of weeks ago, I had a conversation with my manager where she highlighted these instances where deadlines weren't being met, and I pretty much raised that there was no workflow, there was no process, I was never briefed, I never was given a concrete deadline, so it wasn't my fault that I didn't meet a deadline that she had in her head. She then asked, you know, what tools I needed in order for this not to happen again, so I let her know. So I came back with solutions and said, you know, either a briefing system or at least a kickoff call, or at least something where deadlines are marked clearly. I was told that that wasn't possible because we just had such a small team. Essentially, every solution that I came back with was denied. Following this meeting, it was so apparent that my manager went out of her way to make sure I felt so uncomfortable, that it was such a hostile work environment. I mean, she was awful in the way that she spoke to me. She gave us a crazy deadline of end of week for a project, knowing that I was off half the week due to pre-booked annual leave. Not to mention, there was issues with the system. Everything was communicated. I was waiting on bits from other team members, so it would have been impossible for me to get it done before I broke off for Thanksgiving. God forbid I take some annual leave and try and celebrate Thanksgiving with people I love. But yeah, it was apparent that she was going out of her way to make sure I missed that deadline. So then last week, I got a Teams invite for a meeting to discuss my performance because there was concerns around me meeting deadlines, and apparently the outputs were not to business standard. I had never once been told that what I was producing was not good enough for the business. Never have I been pulled on providing work that wasn't good enough. This was the first time I was hearing it. So during this meeting, we basically discussed their concerns. I kind of went back with my evidence that this was very unfair, and then when I asked for proof as to conversations and notes and previous concerns on the performance of my work prior to this meeting, they couldn't provide me with it because I had never been pulled on it before. I once again raised my concerns about being bullied, about there being favoritism, and about me being given really unrealistic deadlines. I had proof, I had receipts, and they just didn't care to see it because I wasn't being fired based on my work. I was being fired because of a personal issue, and I know my manager has a lot of issues with people because within my first week, she pretty much told us who they liked and disliked and pretty much slated so many people in the organization, which is ironic because we're meant to be an organization that specializes in creating better leaders. So yeah, that is why I was fired. My advice to you is to never go to HR for any of these issues because HR does not care about you. They care about the business. And yeah, I have absolutely no idea what I'm gonna do now. I don't know how I'm gonna find a job when I literally live in the middle of nowhere in the English countryside. So yeah, it's been a pretty tough couple of weeks between all this work stuff and crap going on in my personal life, but I am determined to keep going and stay positive, and the job hunting starts tomorrow, so catch me dropping my resumes off at the local farms because there's nothing else here.
So let's just take it from there at this point. I think that's the best solution.
I think also the best solution is to not have a repeat of this dynamic. That's all I'm asking for. This dynamic is beginning to it's causing the morale to drop. And I want us to at least have a conversation, just a clear dialogue, not anything about director and employee, but just a human to human, person to person dialogue, because the dynamic and this breakdown in communication is just, it's not professional. We ought to be able to communicate like two adults without it feeling like one person is being a bully and the other person is just hanging on the other end because one person is dangling their job over their head. I would prefer to be able to come to you as just like a person who I respect and admire and have dialogues. And when I need help, I feel comfortable and confident in you being a leader that I can come to. But it seems that every time I try to bring an issue up with the tone or the disrespect or the dynamic, it is met with even more tones and disrespect and breakdowns in the dynamic. I can get this promotion over the finish line. I can do what I need to do to get the job done because I've been getting the job done this entire time. But I don't want the repeat.
Unclear.
It hasn't been unclear. It hasn't been unclear. I'm being very it's not been unclear. The communication has been disrespectful. And there's a difference between the two. And I'm asking, and I shouldn't have to ask another adult to respect me as a human being. And that is all I'm asking for. I've been asking for that for months. Respect the way you speak to me. Respect the tone that you use towards me. Respect me as a human being enough to collaborate with me on these projects, these jobs, or even when there's something that's wrong. Like, at least be willing to accept your role in certain things when things break down, and not just always want to push it all on me and push the responsibility of that on me when there is a clear breakdown in communication between the both of us that are causing certain things to deteriorate.
At this point, my newest habit is calling a thing a thing. Okay, I'm going to call you out on your behavior every time you exercise said behavior. I'm not going to sit and lie down and be on the receiving end of microaggressions anymore. I'm too old for that shit. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. I do my job, and I guess sometimes I do it too well and that ruffles feathers. But who cares? Can we just get the job done? It is just her and me. We are the department. So when I speak to her about the morale, it's just her and me, the person who holds all the cards, and my job dangling it over my head and just, you know, being a bully, using that as a means to bully me. I am done with it. I'm done with it. And I went ahead and told HR, like, hey, I already told this woman that we need to talk about her behavior. So this is when we're going to talk about it. This is what I'm going to say. I sent that email this morning before we even had this call. I told her I was going to call my boss out on her bullying, and I identified it as such because God has the abundance of grace. I don't. My grace has run dry. It's run dry. I depleted it, trying to be patient and trying to, be mindful. Because what I ended up doing was sacrificing my own mental and emotional well-being and health for the sake of somebody who doesn't give two about me. Okay, I'm not doing that anymore. So I'm going to call a thing a thing. I pray I still have a job. Okay, but what else am I supposed to do? What else am I supposed to do? My HR department has actually reached out to a higher up HR corporation to try to figure out how to deal with this woman. Why is it taking so long? Because while y'all are figuring that shit, I'm still on the receiving end of the bullshit. Hurry it up, please. Okay? Hurry it up. But I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do. There's nothing else for me to do. I'm going to call out the behavior every time it rears its head. I'm going to say it every single time. If you don't want to be called a bully, stop being a bully. If you don't want me to say that they're microaggressions, then shut that shit and stop it. That's it. Cry you want to. You could pat all you want to when your gaslighting doesn't work. I don't care. Go cry to somebody else, because this doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. Especially when I consider how much I have cried over the frustration of dealing with that bullshit. Take it somewhere else, okay? Or just stop the behavior and we wouldn't have this problem in the first place. I am at least mature enough to be like, hey, if you, even though you've caused all this destruction, if you want to modify your behavior and moving forward, operate, like a normal person, that's cool. I can work with you. We won't have any problems. I won't hold this over your head or anything like that. You know what I mean? I won't let you hold my purse, but I won't hold this over your head. Just up. Some people don't need the roles that they are in because the power goes to their head. And when they see somebody that they have a personal issue with, they will use their position to torture them. This is literally been mental warfare the past few months. I am done.
As someone who has personally been through this exact situation, can speak from first-hand experience. Now, I worked in a corporate job as a pharmaceutical sales rep for about 13 years. Of that, for a solid 5 or 6 years, I had an older female manager who would not let me rest. Listen, no matter what I did, it was always something. She even constantly called me, our classmate, as a little girl. And one day I finally stood up to her and I said, listen, do not call me that. I do not like it. And I reminded her that we're simple co-workers. We are not friends, and she needs to speak to me professionally. She gave me a dry, sarcastic apology, and then of course she continued with the same behavior weeks later. Well, eventually she was forced to resign, allegedly, and honestly I believe it was because of her behavior. When I see these creators sharing their workplace bullying experience, trust me, I fully understand what they're going through. The first creator that we saw, her situation desperately needed HR's intervention. Here's the thing, guys, I've heard, and unfortunately I've proved it myself, HR's job is often to protect the company and not necessarily the employees, especially when them and the managers them are big besties. The second creator's story is a prime example of she did the right thing when she spoke up. She reported her manager for bullying, and she even had proof, but instead of protecting her, the company did what? They fired her, and they couldn't even prove the evidence of her poor performance prior to her complaining. No, they simply just use it as an excuse because she spoke out, and that just goes to what I was saying before. And as for this creator, I really take my hats off to her for standing up, because when you have someone literally dangling your job over your head, it's easy for them to think that they can talk to you any way they want to, like you're a child, like you're begging them. I don't know what it is. Sometimes you really have to call it out for what it is these days. You have to let them know that you see them, you see exactly what they're doing, because silence to me only empowers these bullies. That's just my opinion. Workplace bullying overall is often ignored or even brushed aside, especially when it is coming from higher up. That is why it is important to protect yourself by documenting everything, every email, every conversation, every incident, because without proof, it's going to be your word against theirs. As power dynamics in the workplace, create a constant layer of fear. So many people tolerate harassment simply because they're afraid of losing their job. Ultimately, companies need, clear enforcement policies to handle bullies and harassment. Another creator will outline this as well, especially when it comes from management. So without the true accountability, the real consequences, then there's no changes, and the cycle will just repeat itself. Now, I know that was a mouthful, guys. Now we're going to get into this next segment of the video. One clip, a creator actually said something, as I said before, that was so profound, and I want us to just unpack it together and let me know if you think that management often get away with this, with bullying. Of course, I want to hear from you. If you've ever been in a situation like this, drop it down in the comments. Let me know. Let us know, how did you handle it? With that being said, guys, let's keep watching.
Quick story on how I overcame workplace bullying. But before I get started, look at this. You see that? Isn't that crazy? So anyways, I joined the company. I was handpicked, selected, recruited, went through a decently brief process, joined the company. And I guess the rest of them had to work harder or something. I don't know. Not my problem that I was more qualified or well qualified. So I don't know what to say about that. So I joined the company, and from jump, they don't like me. It's not that they met me or saw parts of my personality, that they just didn't like me because of how I was recruited. And the reason I know that is because one of my peers, before she left the role and eventually left the company, told me to my face, my virtual face, that the reason that they were withholding information from me to keep me from being successful. That's a form of bullying in a hostile work environment. You are intentionally trying to sabotage me. She told me that. Secondly, one of my direct reports wanted my job before I obviously came, and wanted it bad. Oh my God, bad, bad, bad. And she tried to drive me out. Straight up, just exactly what it was. She had campaigned people before I walked through the virtual doors and joined the company. She had campaigned people to try to get the job, tried to make skip level and triple skip, upward relationships. None of it resulted in her getting the job. So she would make things up about me. So I joined a one-on-one one time, virtually, obviously, because we all were remote, stapled a packet of paper, set it off to the side, and went on, carried on about my day. And eventually that turned into me being completely distracted and incompetent. I was mad, heated, on fire, hot. I told my boss, you got me, like, I'm a grown ass man. Let's start there. So then thirdly, I had a peer. I'm not sorry. She's a treacherous human being. She treats people so poorly. She thinks that she is just it makes me sick to my stomach. Like, she's just a nasty person. And I do not talk about people like this. I view myself as a decent human being, but she treats people like shit. So long story short, she would steal my ideas and count it as her own. She would try her hardest to make it seem as if I was underperforming. Obviously, none of that worked or was real or realistic. Because if it takes 2 months to lead an initiative or handle a project, to put it that way, and I'm on week 2, how am I underperforming? Oh, okay. You're just trying your hardest to rally a reason and people around the fact that you just don't like me. And that's okay. It's okay. So I wrote a 15-page paper. I had screenshots, documents. I mean, it was an essay, a dissertation, if you will, on why you shouldn't give me every reason to this day to sue you, because I still can. And I still can. And if I wanted to, I would. And I might. Hell, might as well. So anyways, you need to give me every reason why I shouldn't sue you. 15 pages, screenshots, images, verbatims, exchange, all the things. It was fun writing that. I thought I was an attorney for a second. Long story short, all of them were either moved to a different role out of pity or were terminated. And yes, it was a rough period for me, but in the end, I was perfectly fine, and still to this day am perfectly fine. It's just so funny how the people who prey on you the most are usually mediocre themselves.
Can we talk about how men get all the bad press for being problematic in the workplace, which they are, certainly not denying that, but I never see the same amount of discourse about how absolutely vicious women can be towards other women. In my experience as a corporate girly, women have been far more of a problem for me in my day-to-day than men have ever been. I used to work at Pinterest and I lasted there for less than a year because my female manager made it her mission to destroy me literally from day one. 2 weeks after I started at Pinterest, unfortunately my dad died from COVID. Rest in peace, old man, I miss you. My manager's fully aware of this. I'm still working in the few days afterward because I wanted to keep a normal routine. So 2 days after he died, I'm in a team meeting with my manager and my peers, and out of nowhere my manager is like, guys, isn't COVID so bad? Oh my God, the Delta variant is so bad. And I'm just there like, why is she bringing this up right now? I thought she was just stupid, to be honest, but I found out, no, like she's actually a disturbed person. It escalated from there to publicly humiliating me, sabotaging my work, looping her friends in on the fun, micromanaging my every move, not allowing me to really do anything or have impact, and then writing in my performance review that I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing and I don't know how to perform. Her and her friends started giving my number out, spying on me, like secretly following me on TikTok, even though we're not even connected on LinkedIn, weirdo shit like that. It got so bad I started having thoughts about unaliving myself, so I reported my manager, literally had 25 pages of documentation about the shit that she and her friends had been doing to me. The day after I reported her, she quit. And the most ironic thing about this entire situation is that my manager is actually the CEO of her own company that offers career coaching to 20-somethings. And on her website, she talks about how she's obsessively welcoming and her services are the older sibling that you need. Meanwhile, this woman is actually completely Looney Tunes and tried to ruin my life for I just cannot say enough how from day one she started with me. I had never done anything. We need to stop acting like men are always the bad guy.
When it comes to bullying in the workplace, there needs to be policies around it. There needs to be laws around it, because with bullying, it requires positioning. It requires you to have some type of power. That's why you get groups that bully people. That's why you can have management that bully people. That's why you can have supervisors and managers and owners of companies turn their heads towards bullying because they favor the person that's bullying. And a lot of these bullies, what they will do if they are not in power, if they're just a worker, an employee, what they will do is gain the favor of these supervisors and these managers. They'll do that early. They'll charm them. They'll only show them their good side. They'll charm them by doing favors for them. They will charm them by bringing gifts to them. So when they start inflicting their psychological violence onto people, targeting a person, taking their misery out on that person, teasing that person, right? When that person goes to report them, everybody like, well, I don't know what you're talking about. We don't see that person this way. I know you heard that if you've been bullied in the workplace. Nobody's ever complained about this person, or that's a good person. We know them. They've been working here for this many years. So I just don't understand what you're saying. So they will gaslight you. Because of that, nothing will get done. How the employee is told things like, well, if you don't feel comfortable here, then you should leave. Or people say they should just quit the job, right? Why not the bully quit the job? Why not the people that's in power that's not protecting the people that's being harmed? Why nobody say they should leave or they should quit? Right? Because they're harmful for the system of how things are working here, right? And people not feeling safe. People leave jobs with CPTSD. Bullying is serious. People leave jobs with PTSD. People leave jobs with anxiety. They have unalived themselves because of the bullying and the toll that it takes on them. I had a stalker at work. I was reporting this person. Me, I'm going to handle it. So when I'm coming to report to you, I'm telling for that person, right? I'm not telling because I want you to, I'm scared. No. I'm going to let you know that this is happening. And if I got to do something, then that's why. That's why everybody is not playing. And people will think just because you are telling on a person that you are scared and they think it's funny and all of that. But some people don't play about themselves. Let me tell you, I had a person, they were stalking me, right? But what they did it so like in a way where, because I was in a group with this person. So what they did was ask me through text messages, like, it was a woman, it was a female. People really love me in this place. So what she asked me was like, I just moved over. She was probably already stalking me. Little did I know. She was like, I just moved over to such and such. Like, what grocery store do you go to? And it was another black woman. So, I'm like, I'm here for my people. Like, so I'm just telling them the grocery stores that were over there. And then she was asking me about like bus tickets and how much a bus costs because I took the bus. So the whole time I'm not even thinking that this person was a stalker. You know what I'm saying? I'm not thinking that. So she asked me how much the bus cost. And then she asked me what grocery stores were like over the neighborhood. She said she had just moved. And so I'm like, okay, I was telling them the grocery stores. And I was taking videos of this person sitting by my house, whatever. Look, I had her license plate. I literally showing them. Like, by the time I went, they was like, well, she said y'all were friends and y'all went to the grocery store together. I'm like, well, but we didn't. Like, I didn't go to the grocery store, but the text message showed that I told them where, it wasn't my grocery store. I don't go to the grocery stores in my neighborhood. I gave her grocery stores over here. And she told them that I gave her bus tickets. Because she also told them that we took the bus together. And I'm like, well, I don't use bus tickets. I use it's an app that you do. So it was like so many lies. And I'm like, and I'm showing them pictures of her in the car. Like, it's this person. Like, so they don't even take the bus. So you know what I'm saying? So with that being said, I know what workplace bullying looks like. I know when people feel like they can harass a person because something is different about you, or because I'm a queer person. So you know what I mean? Like, maybe you just the person that just do your work and be by yourself. People target you for minding your business, right? So everybody is not playing. So if I'm reporting a person, I'm going to handle it. I'm not telling you because I want you can get them out of here. Or if I keep having problems, I'm going to do something. I'm going to do, and it's going to, you know what I mean? In half, at work, in half. Bullying is serious, people. Bullying is not just, you just leave. People need their money too. People need money, and there's not a lot of opportunities, especially for if you have any marginalized identities. A person signed up to work at that place because they enjoy doing that work, and they got to come and experience a bully or somebody that's weird and somebody that's like, they establish their little group so they can do what they do and nobody interrupt it. Okay? It's not cool. And it's always the person that's already like marginalized, right, here to work, this job for this amount of little money, right? And you think they can just they would have already got another job if they could. But why not have the issue fixed? Why is it that these companies don't want to fix issues? It's crazy to me.
Like, I genuinely quit a job because of bullies trying to corner me in the bathroom. And the story is crazy. There are two kinds of nurse bullies. And the second one is dangerous. And you should probably quit your job when you're dealing with this person. The first one may not like you because of stupid stuff. Like, they might not like you because you come in bouncing and you're happy at work every day and their spouse is making them miserable. There's nothing that you can do about those people. There's going to be miserable people at every kind of job. So whatever. Deal with those people by ignoring them. But the second kind of bully, they're dangerous. They will do anything in their power, including hurting a patient or hurting someone else, including you, physically, to get you out. And y'all know I do not get on this app and tell y'all to quit jobs, but I'm telling you that if you are dealing with bully number 2, you need to quit your job because they're either going to try to get you hurt or get your license taken. They are dangerous.
Story time about how I was bullied at work. So my line manager has asked me to come into the office 3 times a week. I basically said no because it was £16 to get into the office each day. 16 times 3 is a bit too much for work alone. I gave him a few options. I said, okay, cool, I can do 2 days a week. I can go to the office in Victoria, Stratford, or you can subsidize my travels. So he's gone through my contract and he said, oh no, this is your contracted office, you have to come here. And then he also researches my journey. He researches my journey to undermine me. £3, by the way. It is, you can't go anywhere in London during rush hour for £3. So me personally, I was insulted by that email and I absolutely lost my marbles. And I said to him, give me a disciplinary because I'm not coming into the office. If you would like, give me a disciplinary. I gave you your options. You don't like your options? My line manager calls me into the office the next day to basically have that conversation again because apparently I was so rude to Rob, he had to take the day off of work. had the meeting with my line manager's line manager, and we basically reiterated the same thing. He said what he said. I said, yeah, that doesn't work for me. That's not happening. And I could tell he's getting upset because I'm doubling down in it. I'm saying no, and he's literally looking at me like, okay, cool. Then he's like, I'm up for promotion. So he says to me, if you don't want to follow the rules, then we'll have to block your promotion. Now I'm looking at him like, okay, cool, because I can see you're just trying to humble me. But in my head I'm thinking, the only person who can humble me is my Lord and Savior. The only person who can humble me. You. So he actually does try to block my promotion. But like I said, the only person who can block my promotion is the Lord and Savior. Long story short, I got everything I wanted. Less days in the office, a central office, a better office, and a better team. So the next time someone tries to act like they're bigger than the program, remind them, I am the program.
Allow me to tell you the story of when I got bullied at work by women twice my age. I just graduated from college, and at 21 years old, I was excited to accept the position as a childcare site director at one of the largest youth organizations in the world. On this particular day, I had training at another school site with 2 other site directors who picked me up with the company van. So I greeted them with hello and asked them how they were doing, and they immediately looked at each other, laughed, and then proceeded to ask me this question. Why do you talk like that? I asked, like what? They responded, white. I corrected them. White is not a language. You mean I speak proper English. They were silent the rest of the ride, and for 2 years I worked for that company, they barely spoke to me. These grown women showed me that they were intimidated by a 21-year-old who exuded professionalism, self-awareness, and confidence, a standard they lacked. Never stop shining because it makes other people uncomfortable. Always be you.
I don't think there's a worse feeling than going to work every single day thinking that today is the day that you're going to get fired. And I've walked around with that feeling for so long because in my head I said there's nothing I can do to change it because that person who bullied me was a senior tech and has worked there for so long that what can I do to change this? And if you've gotten to know even a little bit about me, of course I tried to settle it between us. And as you can probably guess, it did not go well, and she denied everything and looked at me like I had 10 heads. I also want to address a few things because I was reading comments. She wasn't going into the actual charts on the computer. She was going on my machine to see how I measured, what pictures I took, but it wasn't, positive criticism, obviously, because on top of that, she was also talking about my personality and how I'm always smiley and yeah. So it wasn't just about my skills and how she thought I wasn't good enough. It was way more than that. But speaking up resolved my issue and probably changed my entire career. So for many months, I was walking around with that feeling judged. I felt down. I was less smiley. People started to notice that my light has dimmed. So one day I walk out of my room and I probably cried a few seconds before because it was probably another moment of realization of something else. And I run into my boss at the time and he's like, Natalie, what's going on? And let me tell you, I've rehearsed what I'm going to say if I did speak up so many times, and it would have never came out this way. And I just simply said, I just wish I was happier with my coworkers. I wish I felt more confident that you guys are confident with my imaging and confident with what I'm doing. And he's like, what are you talking about? I don't know about the rest, but I'm super happy with your work. And I hired you because he did. He hired me from the hospital. And I said, I know, but I constantly feel like I'm not enough. So he said, I already know who you're talking about. It's all going to work out. It's all going to be okay. Now, mind you, he was like a father, grandfather figure, the senior doctor. So I'm like, oh, he's probably just brushing it off. Also, that whole conversation didn't sit well with me because I'm such a person that can just handle everything by myself, and I couldn't, and I had to put my ego aside. Long story short, a few weeks after, that person decides to resign. And a few weeks after that, the other bestie that they were going back and forth with left as well. And it was just me. It was awful in the beginning, but that was the little price I had to pay before I got promoted to supervisor, and I hired 2 techs and I built my own team. So to say the least, The way to resolve it is to speak up. Because think about it. What's the worst that could happen? You're already being bullied. You're already being treated so poorly by people who don't even own the practice. Just people who work there. They're just people. Speak up, because hopefully it gets resolved, or leave. Because if it doesn't get resolved and things get a little stickier because you spoke up, worst case you leave, but at least you tried. Because the best part of the story is that I am still in that office. So this better inspire you to speak up against your bullies, about people who mistreat you, or anything that you need to advocate for yourself. Because if you love what you do, you need to fight for it.
Looking at the segment that we just watched, all of these creators seem to have something in common. Bullying, the harassment, and the mistreatment is often coming from who? Women. It is so sad. And not just any woman, but you find that these are older women who could easily be your older sister and even your mother in most cases. It feels like older women in the workplace can become intimidated by what they see. You know, when they see maybe a younger, ambitious person coming in, not just women being targeted either. What we have seen as well, a gentleman shared that he also experienced this too. But there's something about this generational dynamic where instead of mentorship and support, it becomes a competition, belittling, or even sabotage. That's what we're seeing in all of these cases. Psychologically though, thinking about it, I think it even sometimes stems from insecurity. When someone sees a quality in you that sometimes you don't even see in yourself as a youngster, you know, they see your potential, they see your confidence, they see that you come with fresh ideas, then it can definitely trigger the feelings of inadequacy. And rather than dealing with those emotions in a healthy way, some people project it outward by trying to make you doubt yourself. They nitpick, they micromanage, they undermine you, because in their mind, if they can make you shrink, then they don't have to confront their own insecurities. That was my 2 cents, as I said, make me know how to feel about it. In some of these workplaces, this behavior becomes like a silent tactic to force somebody out. If they can make you miserable enough, you'll eventually quit. And in their mind, they have won. What do you think is the cause of this whole behavior in the workplace? Is it insecurity, jealousy, or just plain power trips? Of course, let us talk about it in the comments. It is time to just shift the focus just a little bit into solutions. But you know, so over here, we share the experiences, we share the story, but on this channel, we are also about a solution. We want to solve the problem. So in this next segment, we're about to hear from creators who not only shared their experiences, but they're also telling you how they dealt with their own workplace bullies. And remember guys, if you have encountered this yourself and actually found a resolution, please let us know how did you handle it and the entire outcome. With that being said, let's keep watching.
As an employee, your reputation is so important. It can literally make you or break you. So what do you do if the bully is trying to ruin your reputation? Well, let me tell you a quick story about myself. Many years ago, I worked in a school and a new employee came to the school. She was in a leadership position and we became quick friends. And we were good friends and we worked together very well for about a year. Then the following year, another person came in as one of the principals in the school district. And this person pulled me to the side and said to me, I understand that there have been problems with your attendance and I just want to put you on notice to do better. And I knew that that was not true. And I told him, I don't know where you got that information from. And I also produced proof that that was not true. But I couldn't leave it alone and I had to investigate and try to find out where that came from. And I found out that that friend was the one who fed him that information to take the attention away from her because she actually had the attendance problem. Well, I didn't say anything to her. I just moved away from her. I didn't say anything else to her. And as it turned out, she ended up getting fired a year later and fired in the worst way. In fact, it was so bad that I actually felt sorry for her. There are 3 reasons why someone might destroy someone else's reputation to gain favor or to raise themselves up at work. And one is because they climb the corporate ladder through manipulation. And what that means is they will throw other people under the bus. They'll lie, cheat, and steal. They'll do whatever it takes to rise the corporate ladder. Number two, they are sort of social power climbers. These are people who really don't want to serve. They really don't want to work. They just want to be in power, and they will do anything that they can to be in power. In fact, when they enter an organization, they're usually not interested in serving. I'm not saying that you should not be someone who has goals and aspirations, but they generally want to rise to the top immediately without going through the proper channels. And then number three, these are people who possibly have narcissistic or sociopathic traits. It's best to not confront these people. It's best to stay away from them. These are people who generally have character disorders, so confronting them will not improve the situation at all. Another thing to do is to keep clear communication with your boss, just like I did in my situation, so that the truth will come out. And number three, document everything. And four, consider leaving if this is a situation where leadership had no problems believing something negative about you. Can you add anything? I hope this helps. Take care and bye.
Girl, if they hung Jesus Christ himself on a cross for telling people he was the Son of God, what makes you think that Gretchen from accounting isn't going to bully you and hate on you because you're doing more successful things than she is when she's been at the same cubicle for 20 years? One of the biggest things I had to learn in my previous career and in corporate America especially was that people are going to hate, especially when you're doing well, and especially when you're doing better than them. I literally got called a favorite every single time I excelled in my career because people were mad that I got an opportunity over them or over other people. There were people that regularly sent my social media profiles to HR to try to get me in trouble for what I was posting. There were women 20 years my senior smiling in my face telling me, great job, you're doing amazing, I love your content. But in reality, they were talking shit about me behind my back for posting discounted product and selling it. My clientele wasn't real because they didn't buy full price product. Huh? If you're blessed and highly favored, you will always have a hater. Put that on a t-shirt. We need to wear that. No matter how much hard work you do behind the scenes, sis, there's always going to be somebody in your face or even behind your back saying that you don't deserve to have what you have and you don't deserve to be where you are. But that doesn't matter because at the end of the day, baby, there's only two ways we can go, heaven and hell. And we all try to get into the same club, but some people ain't doing it right. That's neither here nor there. I'm not here to judge. What I'm here to tell you is don't get into your feelings. Don't get hurt. Don't take it personally when people are trying to come for your character and make it seem like you don't deserve to be where you are, because you do. Some people's spirits just get shook up when they see other people doing what they wish they could do. That's between them and them. And I know it hurts your feelings. We've all been there, but don't let that stop you from getting what you want. Okay.
While there was this associate who was always making inappropriate remarks to me anytime she could get me alone. For example, one time she said, you know, you went to Dartmouth, you worked at the White House, so a lot of people will give you, and I quote, street cred for being really smart, even though you very well might not be smart at all. Another time she asked me to guess the answer to something, and then she stopped herself and said, well, actually, I know how much you make, so I won't do that to you. My mom taught me something really helpful when she said insubordination is one of, if not the biggest career killer for a young professional. She said if you run into issues, always dock the person. Now, what's docking? If you report it the first time, it can be dismissed as a mistake. If you report it the second time, it can be dismissed as a coincidence. Always wait for at least 3 occurrences and make sure that after each occurrence you write down the date, the time, the scenario, and the offending circumstance. I went back to my office each time she made a belittling or an inappropriate comment to me, and I would write it down in my little notepad. And after the 4th or 5th time, I opened my inbox and sent an email to the managing partner of that practice group. And I said, hi, I hope this email finds you well. On this date, this time, here's what happened. Kept it strictly facts, no editorializing, and no fluff. On the second occasion, and so on and so forth, all the way through to occasion 4. And then I said, I just wanted to reach out to you before reaching out to HR in hopes that we can resolve this within the practice group. He got back to me almost immediately and he said,
Thank you for handling this in such a professional manner. When can we all meet? Long story short, they demanded that she apologize to me, which she did. And I was also given the option not to work with her on future assignments if I didn't feel comfortable doing so. I'm not one to hold a grudge, so I said, I don't think that'll be necessary. So long as we have an understanding, I think it should be fine. Now, a couple hours after the meeting, I was in my office, kind of decompressing and getting into my work for the day. And the associate, the attorney who had made the comments, came into my office and she said something really interesting. She said, you know, I was talking to my husband about what happened, and he said, wow, the way she handled that was textbook perfection. She goes, it's hard to believe that you're such a young professional and you're able to handle things that skillfully. And I honestly didn't have a great answer for her because although my mom had taught me the secret to docking people, she didn't tell me anything about how to reach out, honestly. I just have to credit that to God and his guiding light and how he leads me and guides me through my day-to-day. I tell this story as an illustration of the idea behind a post I made a while back where I said, always play the long game. Avoid the crash out at all costs. Take yourself seriously. Act like you actually believe that you are who you say you are. Had I crashed out and caught an attitude with her, it wouldn't have mattered what she said to me because I would have been guilty of insubordination. But because I took the time to calm down, relax, make a sound, wise game time decision, I was able to play the long game. I continued to work there for 2 more years. I was well respected. I got a lot of great opportunities, and that kind of incident did not repeat itself. Play the long game, ladies.
Here are 3 things to remember when dealing with a workplace bully, especially if there's somebody in authority. Number 1, whatever you do not give them the reaction they're expecting. Them hammerknockers thrive off of that. This is where you show your strength. And the stronger you are, the angrier they're gonna become. Not responding to their mess and remaining professional actually strips them of their power. And y'all, this gonna make them big mad. Gonna throw more darts at you, but if you stoop to their level, you're no better than them. Numero dos. And please know your rights by reading the employee manual. You stick to policy while keeping them in check with policy. Number 3, keep a strong paper trail, baby. Email, text, whatever. They're gonna lie, so get it in writing. They might not even respond, but at least you have your statement in writing. A response from them is going to confirm the interaction, and a non-response is going to point out their unprofessionalism. And I know it's going to be hard, but when it's time for you to move on, keep professional when you resign. Because if you go low when you leave, you take a part of them with you.
There are way too many companies and bosses that don't take bullying and abuse at work seriously. And we've all talked about quiet quitting, but I would like to coin the term quiet bullying. There are so many deceptive behaviors that coworkers and bosses get away with because they're not technically illegal. So what do some of these things look like? So quiet bullying would be something like their body language is just always ugly towards you. They're rolling their eyes. They're always looking at you when they're in groups of other people, and then they giggle, constantly CCing your boss in on emails like you're 5 years old and you don't know how to do anything. Speaking over top of you in meetings, constantly trying to get other people on the team against you, including your own boss, in very subtle ways, slowly and over time, but really chipping away at people's perception of you, excluding you from things like not telling you about in meetings, or say it was your day off and there was some piece of important information that they were supposed to relay to you and they don't on purpose to make you look stupid. This can also look like minimizing things when you report something and they act like it's just really not a big deal, or you're, confiding in a coworker about some kind of abuse or bullying or something serious and they minimize that. Another really big one is stealing credit for your work. And the thing is that while this is something that a lot of people will say, grow up, it's just part of being in the work world, get over it. Sometimes people earn bonuses and get looked at for promotions when they do a good job and when they come up with great creative ideas. And when someone continues to steal your intellectual property and pass it off as their own, and they keep getting favored because of that, it can absolutely wear away at your mental health. So I want to start using the hashtag quiet bullying and start talking about this a little bit more. Legal ways to hold people accountable when you can get documentation of real abuse and bullying that's very pervasive, and there's clear evidence of that. But these are the things These are the things that happen to so many people so often, and they're so hard to prove, but it's very real, and it really does wear away at people.
When you're pretty, ambitious, and you have a good aura to you, you're gonna have a hard time at the workplace, okay? The workplace is going to be a battlefield. So have you wondered why you always get humbled at every workplace? It's because your colleagues are jealous of you. And they're probably jealous of your beauty, that's a big one, your ambition, or just your frequency. If you vibrate on a high frequency, if you have a good aura to you, if you're a good person, you mind your business, they will be threatened. The workplace is filled with insecure people. So as soon as you walk into the workplace, they're already sizing you up. They're threatened that they're gonna lose their position. So when you come into the workplace now, they're going to come to you, and best believe they're going to start asking you loads of questions. And don't be fooled, okay? They're only doing this to monitor you. They're asking you monitoring questions because they're collecting information to sabotage you. You're going to get these overly nice people attached to you, and you think they're your friend, but they're not your friend, okay? They're threatened, and they're coming close to you to see if you are a threat. So they'll come to you, they'll ask you if you're educated, your previous workplace. They'll ask you who you are. They'll ask you loads of questions. It's because they are collecting information from you. They're already threatened when they know a new person is going to start. Now you walk in and you're beautiful. You're ambitious. They hate that. They hate it. So what they will do is some of them will come close to you. They'll pretend to be your friend. They'll pretend to be nice. But don't be fooled. They're just collecting information from you. They will ask you your previous workplace. They will ask you what school you went to. They want to know everything about you, and they're not your friend. So don't tell them. When you're at work, I want you to give one sentence. More than one sentence at work is just too much talking, especially when you're a pretty woman. You know what's sad about this? You're there going to work because you just want to make some money. Maybe you're saving for a car. Maybe it's your dream job. But now that you go to the workplace, you're getting attacks from left, right, and center. And then I get some messages from some of you guys saying, you don't even think you're that pretty. Why would people come and attack you? Yeah, you don't think you're that pretty. The thing about jealousy is it's that person's perception of you. It's not your perception of yourself. So when you're coming into the workplace, let's say that person has an internalized beauty standard, and you come into the workplace and you have that internalized beauty standard. That could be anything. That could be long hair. That person would now start feeling threatened because they deem long hair as the epitome of a beauty standard. They feel like they would have it easier in the workplace. They would have it easier in life if they had that internalized beauty standard. So when they see you come in there, they do not like it. They feel threatened. And we all know the psychology behind this. When they feel threatened, they have to knock you down. They have to get you out. And especially when it's really, really deep, a lot of them, they can't face you coming into work every day. They cannot face that. And law number 1 of the 48 laws of power, never outshine the master. And especially when you're in a competitive environment, a lot of us, we come into the workplace just doing the job because that's what we're meant to do. But we do a good job. So now the colleagues are getting threatened, of course. So what do? They sabotage you. They humble you. They give you backhanded compliments, especially with the older women at work. Younger women too, they can hate on older women as well. It can work both ways. But usually what I've noticed, it's older women hating or being jealous of the younger women. And I said this in my YouTube video, they're usually jealous of your time. They're wondering, you're shattering their reality. They're thinking, I cannot believe this young woman, this beautiful young woman is working the same role as me. And we're getting paid the same job. No. They can't deal with that. They need to get you out. They need to sabotage you. They need to collect information on you. They need to critique you. And especially when you're a beautiful young woman, they will publicly embarrass you. If you make a mistake, they will talk loudly. They will want to make you feel so small because guess what? Every time you walk into the office being yourself, that's how they feel. They feel small from viewing you. So they have to make you feel exactly how you make them feel from just existing. See, the workplace, it's like the Game of Thrones. The game is always being played whether you want to play or not. So do you want to get played or do you want to play to be ahead of the curve? You have to realize the workplace is filled with people that haven't resolved their childhood trauma. They haven't resolved their high school. So a lot of them in the workplace, either they're really popular in school. So they lose that power. A lot of these people that are peaked in high school or were popular in high school, when they get into the workplace, they feel young again. They feel powerful again. And they see you and they hate that. Especially if they're an older woman and they see you being pretty. They need to hate on you. They need to hate on you. And also it works the other way around. If there was someone and they didn't have that power, they come to workplace and they actually, because it's acceptable to have power. There's a lot of power plays in the workplace. And they see you. Best believe they're going to abuse that power on you. They will abuse that power on you, especially the men. Let's talk about it. The men will want to humble you. And you feel like you can't even say anything because of the workplace. And in the workplace, they do it in a very indirect way. It's a very indirect way, so you can't really call them out. My main tip is, when you go into the workplace, master the art of female stoicism. That's something that I had to do. Female stoicism. You need to play chess, not checkers, because in the workplace, it's not a physical game. You will see the actions, the results, but everything is inside. It is a mental game like chess. You need to learn strategy because you can't keep quitting every job. That was me. I quit. I would quit 1 job, 2 jobs, 3 jobs. Look, I'll be lying if I didn't say I quit more than 4. Because of how these people treat me. Because I didn't know that, oh, this is going to keep happening in every workplace. I kept thinking, maybe this is just a workplace. No, it's a universal, unique experience when you're a triple threat. Okay, so don't take it personal. You just need to learn strategy. You need to master the art of detachment, female stoicism, which is what I'm going to be mentioning. And I'm going to make a video about it soon. But yeah, you need to learn. You need to learn that because it's going to always happen. But don't get me wrong. We have abundant mindsets. If it's too much, then go. But let me tell you something. Do not allow your colleagues to bully you out of the workplace. Do not allow your colleagues to bully you out of the workplace. You leave on your own accord. You leave when you want to get more money. You leave when you feel like this job is not for me anymore and I want to get better. Do not leave because people are threatened by you. They're threatened by your beauty. They're threatened by your ambition. They're threatened that you mind your business. They're threatened by your work ethic. Do not leave. Leave on your own accord, because guess what? That is what they want to do. This whole thing, it's a game. It's like the Game of Thrones. It's a mental game. So when they're sabotaging you, when they're doing all these things to you, and you fall for it, checkmate. They won. Now you're gone. You're gone. You don't even have a job, or the job you get next isn't as good as the job you had because you allowed them to bully you out of the job. Everyone is playing a position. You have to think, what position am I playing? If you're going into the workplace thinking there's no game being played, you're being naive. Wake up. There's a game being played. You need to realize what your position is. Some people are playing the game. They could be your ally. Cool, they could be allies. Still don't trust them and tell them all your business. No, but you're going to need allies. There's some people and they're there to simply attack you. They want to bring you down so they can get to the top. And there's some people, they sabotage people to protect themselves. There's some people, they do it to protect themselves. They just do it to protect themselves. So you have to wake up. Everyone is playing a game. What is your role? On a psychological level, it's called the social comparison theory. So when you come into the workplace, people are going to compare themselves to you, insecure people, and they're going to feel threatened. And when they deem you as a threat, what are they going to do? They're going to overpower you. And you see this a lot at the workplace because it's a competitive environment. So because the social comparison theory, they see you coming in and automatically they feel insecure. And because these people, they don't do the work. They don't realize I feel this way because I feel inadequate in myself. I feel insecure in myself. They just see you're causing this intense feeling in themselves and they like, oh, she has to go. They don't realize it's within. They don't realize that. And then they spew all their venom out to us. Back to the social comparison theory. So what this is our brains don't like to be excluded. And with the social comparison theory, you can actually see this at the gym if you go to the gym. When you're at the gym, you may see at the corner of your eye a girl looking at you, or in the mirror, you may see a girl looking at you and then maybe look away, or she's like really staring at you. Sometimes you'll even see their face and they'll be like sad in their face. It's because of the social comparison theory. So they're comparing themselves to you. As they're comparing themselves to you, it is reminding themselves of their insecurities and they don't like that and it makes them feel upset. So I see this happen in the gym, but I don't care. It's a gym. I'm just doing my thing. So this also happens in the workplace. So they see you to compare themselves to you and makes them feel really, really, really bad about themselves, and then they need to take you out. If you have something about you in the workplace that makes you stand out, best believe you're going to be attacked, okay? So you need to play it smart. Okay? So thank you for watching the end of the video. If you found this video valuable, don't forget to leave a comment down below, and don't forget to like and follow for more.
These last creators in that segment pretty much summed up everything for us perfectly. And they didn't just give us the how, but they also explained to us the why. And I also think that is so important because understanding why workplace bullying happens can actually help you to recognize the signs from early and how to respond to them in a way that really protects you. And the final creator, I must say, she pretty much put a bow on everything that was shared today, tying together everything, different experiences and strategies, that we have heard throughout this entire video. Here's the reality, the workplace bullying isn't easy to navigate. It is emotional. I can tell you about that. It can affect your confidence, your mental health, and even sometimes your livelihood, how you produce or you perform. Said from my very own personal experience, the biggest advice I can give to you is to document everything, put every single thing in writing, even if it's a phone call, do a follow-up email to confirm what was discussed on that phone call. Someone tries to verbally intimidate you or even undermine you, make record of it. As the girl said, one of the creators said, the time, the date, the exact wording if possible, because in most cases, it becomes your word against theirs. If they're in a higher position, then usually the company will side with them, and that's just a sad reality. That labor laws are different, depending on where you live. For example, here in Jamaica, we have a government body that is called the Ministry of Labor. If something like this happens in the workplace, so you feel threatened or you're unfairly dismissed, and you feel like HR did not handle it properly, then you can escalate that matter to them. They make a fair decision based on the evidence provided to them. So it's always going to be based on the evidence. Wherever you are, know your rights. Do some research about your country's labor law or your state's labor law and see what support systems are available. And if you're in a toxic workplace, don't suffer in silence. Please, guys, seek help, document everything, just explore all avenues before you let someone push you out or even break your spirit or even you end up with the first thing that I spoke about while opening this video, and I'm not gonna just go back there, but you know what can happen. I just want to say thanks to the subscriber again who reached out with this topic. I know that you are experiencing the same thing, and I truly hope that what we have discussed over the last hour has been helpful to you and has actually given you some clarity as to how to handle your situation. Guys, this is where we're gonna wrap up today's discussion. If you have reached the end of this video, you haven't yet liked or subscribed, now is the time to go ahead and do so. And if you want to continue to watch more edutainment videos like these, you can go ahead and click that up next video with the right saw on your screen and enjoy the day away. As per usual, guys, thank you again so much for sticking with me until the end. My name is Jody and I aspire to inspire. Until next time, guys,
Walk good.